You are listening to the Bright Life Podcast, all about ways to stay inspired, chase your dreams, and find more gratitude in the highs and lows of the journey. I'm your host, Jessica Johnson. I'm a business owner, a part-time digital nomad, a self-growth junkie, a believer in other big-hearted women, and am all about sharing tips, tricks, lessons learned, and encouragement so we can all live our biggest, brightest lives. You ready? Let's do this. Hello, beautiful. Welcome to today's episode, all about beliefs, affirmations, soundtracks for your brain, as I like to call them. So this is related to chapter 5 of my brand new book, Your Bright Life, Get Clear on What You Want, Overcome Self-Doubt, and Bring Your Dreams to Life. If you've been following these episodes for the last few weeks, we've been touching on just one little element of each chapter each week. So it's not what's in the book, but it's something that complements it to give you a kind of taste of, if you like this, you probably love going way deeper in the book. So chapter 5 is all about believing, getting your brain and your heart on board. So if you've ever had this experience where you know what you want to do, but you can't get yourself to do it, or you keep showing up being like, today is my day, and then by the end of the day, you're like, I got tired, I got busy, there's other things to do, or you just have a lot of negative self-talk in an area or a lot of fear. The thing to play with is belief. So it's not about berating yourself for why you couldn't do the thing again, or beating yourself up, or wondering why someone else has something you don't, or making up a story in that regard. It's really about going to the source of your resistance, which is your beliefs. Think about it this way. Beliefs impact the emotions that you feel. Emotions impact the actions that you take. And the actions you take impact the results you get. So if you have a thought constantly playing in your brain, like, I can't do this thing, I'm not worthy of this thing, it's going to create some pretty negative emotions, right? You're probably not going to feel super confident, and those negative emotions, that lack of confidence, is then going to cause you to take actions that make you play small or hold back or stay in your rut when you know that you want something else. And then, of course, the result is that nothing changes, or you certainly don't get what you want, or you watch other people who do when you know you're capable. So today, I want to help give you some ideas of how to get to the root of resistance, which is changing your beliefs. How do you even begin to change the thoughts playing in your brain? It's actually very doable. And once you know how to do it, after the next 15 minutes, you're going to feel so empowered. This is literally the practice that I use whenever I find myself coming up against something that I'm just not doing, or I'm resisting, or I have a lot of fear around. I always go to the beliefs, and I get curious, and I work to reframe them. So here's something that really helps me, and I hope it serves you as well. Now, one thing that comes up when we start talking about affirmations and giving your beliefs like a new reframe is that it can sound a little wooey, right? But I want you to think about beliefs almost like soundtracks for your brain. So if you have thoughts playing all day, the same soundtracks day in and day out, generating the same emotions and therefore actions and therefore results, if you aren't getting the actions and results you want to give yourself a new soundtrack. So I kind of think of better beliefs or better affirmations as a new soundtrack for my brain. Because if your brain is used to thinking one way, it's really hard to course correct and have it start thinking something else instantly. Because it's like, what else are you supposed to think about? What thought are you supposed to replace your default one with? So think of affirmations like that. You're just giving your brain a new default thought, a new track to play, and a new soundtrack to put on repeat. Okay? And so here's how you start to think about what belief you want to adopt instead of whatever one is holding you back. Here are a few things that help. The first thing I like to do is think about what else could be true. So if you have this thought, like, no one is going to want to hear my message, and you're afraid to go up on stage or publish your book or share the social media post, ask yourself, what else could be true? Because sure, no one may want to hear that. That could be an outcome. But another possibility is that people will be really inspired by your message. People will love what you have to say. People will thank you for showing up so vulnerably. You might get new clients, new friends from this. So those are also beliefs that you can choose from. And the thing is, they're probably a more powering belief that's actually going to create this emotion of empowerment and confidence and excitement in you. And that's going to cause you to be able to take the action to show up and share your heart. And that's going to get you the result of new connections being made, new confidence being built, realizing you really can do this scary thing. So always go back and ask yourself, if there's an area where you feel like you're just lacking a little bit of confidence, what else could be true? Because chances are there's another possibility available to you. The second thing that I like to do is borrow belief from someone else. So if there's an area of your life that you are struggling to really shift your mindset around, and you know that there's other possibilities for things that could be true, but you have a hard time locking into it yourself, something that helps me is to borrow the belief for a little while from someone else. So let's look at another example. Let's look at an example like body image, because we all know that there are stereotypes out there for what is quote unquote beautiful or desirable, but there's also people challenging those stereotypes every single day. There are people walking into a room with the opposite of whatever the cultural stereotype is that given week or month or year, and saying, I'm actually beautiful. If it was tall and skinny was hot one year, someone came in that same year and said, actually, curvy is the new thing. And it was their confidence that started to shift everyone's perceptions around that. And so what I'd offer you there is not so much that there's one beautiful body type, but every body is beautiful, right? I genuinely believe that. But more so, if there is someone that you can look at who is already rocking the confidence that you want to have in one area, whether it is your body image or your career choice or the way that they parent or have a relationship or whatever it may be, go on stage, go on a podcast, borrow the belief from them. Look at the way they show up and the way that they think about themselves and what they're doing in the world, and use it as evidence that it's possible for you too. Use it as evidence that you can think the same way. And as you start to think that way, you're going to see the world shift around you. Because I guarantee you, those people that are walking into the room feeling confident in their skin and who they are seeing that mirrored back to them from other people. Even if they are not the cultural stereotype of beauty or desirability or whatever it may be, because they are exuding that confidence and that self-love, that is what people are reflecting back to them. We've seen this shift a million times culturally, right? Where all of a sudden the next thing becomes the big hot thing because someone walks into the room and says, actually, this is what's amazing. This is the hot new thing. And everyone around them starts to adopt that. So I'll offer that to you as well, where if you have this belief that's stubborn and tricky and you know what else could be true and you have other things that you could default to as a way of thinking, but it's hard for you to get there, go on social media and follow accounts of people who seem to have that belief already and let them become the voice in your head. Think of people in your own life or watch on TV shows or anywhere that you can find that evidence. Read stories of great people, listen to podcasts, watch their documentaries, and borrow their belief until it's something that you can adopt on your own. So those are a few things that really help me. What else can be true? Thinking through that list, choosing one of those beliefs that speaks to me that I love. And then 2, if I need a little bit of a booster, looking to see who else I can borrow that belief from until it feels a little more integrated. And then 3, using that new belief as an affirmation. So if I choose something, like the original example, instead of thinking no one will like what I have to share, I choose a better belief that could also be true, like this message will really help someone, and I will repeat that to myself. I'll find people around me who seem to model that for me and seem to share their message with that kind of conviction, and then I'll repeat that new, better belief repeatedly for me. So this will really help someone. And before I post, before I share, before I get on stage, I think that to myself. And gradually over time, it replaces the original belief of no one will like this. It becomes the louder voice in your head. And it's amazing because I've seen this happen over and over again, even with clients or students, where they come in and that new belief feels really stretchy. Like it doesn't quite feel 100% true for them yet. But if you give it a few weeks of repeating that new belief and getting used to it, massaging it, leaning into it, all of a sudden, it's amazing to see how that does become the louder voice and the bigger belief in your head. It shifts over and over again for people where all of a sudden it doesn't even feel as stretchy. It feels like the truer belief. So I offer this to you in whatever area you feel like you're struggling in, or you could have a little more confidence. We all have our areas. Choose this practice and go through this and think through, what is my belief about money, about relationships, about success, about my body, my health, whatever it may be, and then think through what else could be true. Go find your role models, your people who are going to model that better belief for you, and allow yourself to ingrain it and reinforce it for a few weeks and see what shifts. You can apply this to any area of your life. It's one of the most empowering practices because once you realize you can shift your belief in any area by giving it a little time and patience and love, you feel really unstoppable because all of a sudden you start to see your life reflect that around you. And because you have better emotions now from that belief, you start to take different actions, you start to see different results show up in your life, and it feels a little bit like magic, but you always know where it began. It began with you being really intentional about shifting a new belief to something that served you and got you where you wanted to go. If this is interesting to you, we talk so much more about this in chapter 5 of my book, Your Bright Life, and it's available on Amazon. It's also on Audible when I narrate it if you like listening to books a little bit more. But I just think this is so powerful. It's kind of one of those keys that unlocks a whole new level for any area of your life. So I hope that you feel the same and try it out. Let me know what you think, and thank you for being here. Cannot wait to hear what you uncover. Thank you so much for listening in. If you love this episode, I have 2 things you are going to love. One is a free copywriter training full of 5 steps to build a profitable copywriting business as your own boss, no matter how much experience you're starting with. Copywriting is what took me from a 9-to-5 to freedom as my own boss, to travel, choose my schedule, replace my corporate income, and have time to work on creative projects like this podcast. And I'd love to give other women the same opportunity. Another, of course, is my book, Your Bright Life. You can find it on Amazon or Audible, where I narrate the audiobook, so it's kind of like a podcast in book form. All of these things are in the podcast show notes. Thank you again for listening. I appreciate you and your review so much, and I'll see you back here next Thursday.